Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CantoSense, where we are here to embrace Chinese culture for Christian living.
A few years ago, there was this TV show called Extreme Couponing. Some of you may have seen that. I love that show. You know how grocery stores give out vouchers or coupons where you get discount or you buy 5, you get 2 free kind of thing. So in this show, people do that to the extreme and it becomes a competition. So the person who saves the most money would win the competition. Everyone likes a good deal. Who would give up a good deal? But when it comes to cultural Chinese, I think we take liking a good deal to a different level because we love a good deal. The idea that you are getting more than you're giving, just gets us so excited, Exactly. It sets the hearts of cultural Chinese people on fire. It could be a discount or free stuff, whatever the opportunity is, it must be maximized to get the most out of it. Now, I know we've talked about on CantoSense frugality and the pros and cons to that. About stewardship and not wasting. Saving, being thrifty is not a value that should stand alone because there are other values that are equally or even more important, like relationships, generosity, hospitality, and so on. So we have FOMO. FOMO, for those of you who are not familiar with this lingo, is fear of missing out. So even as we think about FOMO, getting a good deal cannot be the only and ultimate goal. However, it's easy for us to forget and go to extreme FOMO, and in our case, extreme Chinese FOMO.
As you're saying this, I think there might be viewers that are thinking, but my own Chinese FOMO, my own wanting to get a good deal, doesn't that just affect me? Like, what's it to you? It's not a morally wrong thing.
It doesn't harm you. Yeah.
I'm not killing people in order to get a good deal. I've seen people at restaurants who will order things that they cannot make at home because they're thinking that this is the opportunity to be maximized.
But what's wrong with that, though? I mean, I do that sometimes.
Well, these people will order those things to maximize the opportunity, but it turns out to be food they don't even really enjoy eating.
All right, I don't do that.
Right, exactly. For example, fried oysters, like battered deep fried oysters, which are very delicious, by the way.
Mm-hmm. A lot of work.
A lot of work, and you would never make it at home. I mean, for those who are making fried oysters at home, I commend you 100%. But it's something that you would definitely go out to eat. And so you have these people who are at the restaurant looking at the menu and saying, oh, I can't make deep fried oysters at home. Let's get that. And then the oysters come and you realize they don't even really like deep fried oysters that much, but they just didn't want to waste the opportunity to maximize somebody who would cook it for you in its difficulty. So it's like trying to pick the most complicated thing to make just so that you
even when you don't like it,
so that you can say, I got my money's worth.
Right.
Now you might say, well, that just affects me. I'm the only one that has to deal with this deep fried oyster choice. What's the big deal? Okay, fair. But then there are other instances where this preoccupation with Chinese FOMO actually leads us to be more self-centered and focused on personal benefit. Somebody, true story, who from a first world country went on vacation in a third world country. And it was kind of an impoverished part where you have street vendors, people who are just trying to make a living and make ends meet by selling trinkets on the side of the street, souvenirs, like very inexpensive things, like maybe a magnet or like a bracelet or something. And these people from first world countries, they may buy 1 or 2 things, and then they'll look at the vendor and say, hey, can I get that for free?
Even though they're just paying like 50 cents for that trinket.
Exactly. And it's not morally wrong, but you are affecting
it's the attitude, isn't it? Where you bargain it down to almost nothing, when you can easily afford to pay what they ask for. And granted, in some places they do cutthroat, right? I mean, they do say like this t-shirt, $45
$1 million.
Correct. But it's not that. It's like, probably in a local currency, maybe it's like $2. And you're like, $2 too much, 50 cents.
Yeah. And can I get that other thing for free as well? Ideally, in the world, we would want to see win-win situations, but win-win situations are very rare. Let's be honest. More often than not, there is a win-lose situation. And just realizing that if you get the best deal to the max, someone else out there is probably getting the worst deal to the max. Or, some people who would say, oh, well, I want to save money and be a good steward, and therefore never buy gifts for anyone or never pay people back for things. Gift giving is just frivolous. I want to save money. And well, saving money is not bad, but if it takes away from being generous and being hospitable and being filial, and honoring people, then it's beyond deep fried oysters.
So what does the Bible say about this, though? I mean, obviously, when we think of FOMO, we think, oh, maybe it's just this generation or something that we do today. Does scripture say anything about this?
The values of stewardship that are talked about in the Bible is that it's more than money, for sure. Because if it was all about money, you wouldn't have people giving away their stuff, including their money. It's about everything that we've been given. How do we manage all of these things in a balanced and God-honoring way? And then the idea of getting a good deal to the max, it actually reduces people to things. Now, if it's a free roll of toilet paper, okay, that's not a person, that's a thing. You want to get a good deal, fine. But when it comes to trying to max out relationships or things that people are offering you or people are blessing you and you want to, so if I offer you one cookie and you take the whole bag, well, that kind of stuff. People in relationships are not commodities just for our use. And finally, the Bible teaches us the things that matter to God. What does God think is a good deal in his books? And actually, what God cares about are often not pragmatically or tangibly beneficial. I mean, loving your enemies, you're not getting a good deal. Okay, straight up. The Good Samaritan.
It's a bad deal, in fact.
The Good Samaritan had a really bad deal, but he gave above and beyond. Giving generously is not a good deal. The Acts 2 church exhibiting that was not a good deal. People giving away their possessions, selling off things and giving the money to the church. That is not a good deal. But those are the big things that God teaches us are important. God is about his kingdom, and it's always about the big picture, and it's always about these big things. But when we focus on just the deal, actually it narrows our mindset and it makes us look at the small things. And when we look at small things, we become petty and calculative, and you just can't let stuff go when you're in that mindset. Matthew 6:33, right? Seek first his kingdom and all these things will be added. You should not have to make a living off of getting a good deal if you're doing things first with the focus of God's kingdom.
If God had been FOMO with us, he would not have sent his son to live among us and give
Worst
his
deal
life
ever.
for us. Exactly. I mean, this is like the narrative in the Bible where the landowner sends his son and his son gets killed. There's nothing FOMO about that. So if God were FOMO like us, we would be the one. We would be getting the worst deal ever, but instead he took the worst deal so that we get a good deal.
You don't have to max out every single thing every single time. It's the abundance mentality, right? When you trust that God will give you enough, then you don't have to get extreme about it.
And we're not saying that we shouldn't go for a good deal. I think there's definitely something there for us to think about and reflect on when it comes to an extreme fear of missing out, extreme FOMO. And as cultural Chinese, we tend to take that to the extreme just because of some of the things that we value, being very pragmatic people, being people who are naturally very frugal.
Well, thank you for joining us. We hope that spending time watching this has been a good deal for you. And we hope that you'll join us again for another episode of CantoSense. Until then, let's not reject, but redeem the Chinese culture for Christian living. See you again soon.
Bye.